On September 18, 2010, 5 members of St. Charles Borromeo flew from New York to Guatemala City. Mike Connolly, Kathy DeSherco, Laura Heil, Katie Yanka, and John Sudol. The delegation was part of the Guatemalan Solidarity Partnership implemented by the Dioceses of Metuchen to foster an alliance focused on education and faith sharing, as well as provide opportunities for advocacy on behalf of the region's poor and marginalized. During their visit, the delegation traveled throughout the Diocese of Santa Rosa, visiting several churches and meeting with the priest, pastoral councils, and the people of Santa Rosa's Diocese's faith community.
Okay, well, I certainly had interest early on and was involved in some of the planning, but I think the inspirational moment for me was my son Jack. So he's in the St. Charles Youth Group, and he had been to Guatemala, and upon returning, the quote was, "Pop, you have to go." And I was, why? He said, "It'll change your life, Pop. You really need to see this. It's a moment that you'll never forget." And we had several conversations, and really I think it was Jack that ultimately moved me from being uncertain to, yes, I'm going to go.
Well, I'm a little bit of a control freak, and I like to plan things out and know exactly what's going to happen next. I think during this trip, however, you really got to check your ability to control at the airport and leave it there. We were in really good hands though with our hosts, such as Roel, Louise, Freddie, and Boris, and they took really good care of us.
The most difficult part of the trip for me was sometimes being caught in very unusual circumstances for myself, and there was a point at which we were traveling in the dark, and we got into a little accident, and you could almost feel that you were out of control, and there was a lot of praying going on, and we got stopped by police, the truck in front of us, and then there was another incident where the road was washed out, and we had to figure out how to go through that road to get to where we were going on a very short period of pavement, and then the truck in front of us got stuck in it and had to move back. So all of those very awkward things that we're not used to here became very difficult for me, but certainly a lot of praying made it happen.
So I had mixed feelings about that. So one feeling was that, wow, are we blessed and so fortunate with the lifestyle we lead and what we have back in St. Charles. So that was one. On the other hand, I thought that after several days being there, I was like, wow, the folks here have incredible family bonds, and some of the most basic things in life they take the time for. Conversation, time with family, time at a meal, their faith being really centric to it, faith and people being centric to their life, minimal distractions. So as time went on, I thought to myself, who really has their priorities in order, and what can I take back with me to St. Charles?
Yes, they are poor with material things, but they're very rich with important things in life, such as family and faith. And I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but it's really true, and it was really prevalent in Guatemala. So It's important to understand that their situation is difficult, but it's also important not to immediately go down the path of sympathy, because it's really not necessary.
I wouldn't say it changed me. I would say it continues to shape and form me. I think I look at parish life in a new way. I look at the idea of community in a new way. I know I certainly understand some scripture in a new way. So it's definitely helped form me.
Yes, I don't think you can go on a trip like this and not be changed. I've been to other third world countries, so parts of it were not shocking, but I think from every one of these kinds of experiences you change. I have a greater understanding of solidarity. I am enthusiastic about trying to help others here understand what it was we learned and what we experienced and bring it back. We were very lucky to go and experience this firsthand, and now our challenge is to be able to make it be everybody's partnership here, everybody's friendship. So I was changed in my understanding and in my desire to step up my efforts to help others understand. I think what surprised me about the people in Santa Rosa Diocese was they were so welcoming. They were so happy to see us. We went to Mass every single day, and we were greeted so warmly by all of them, almost like celebrities.
What surprised me most was as I sat in almost every Mass, you could look out and here were people of little means, and there was such a peace that was in their face and their demeanor, and they were so open to loving and being with you. And you don't see that here. We're constantly bombarded by our own thoughts and by ambition, but it's not always a clean ambition as I looked at it. But they're beautiful even in their limited resources. I would have to say it started from the very beginning when we showed up at about 5:45 on that Saturday morning, and here was Father Greg and Ken here with us, and we were ready to go, and they all turned and they created a circle for us that wished us this beautiful trip and to bring ourselves there and bring the Santa Rosa Diocese back. So that was the beginning of the aha moment, and then it unfolded at the end when we ended up in Guatemala City, and through all of our experiences, our delegates over there sat with us, and they took pictures and they hugged us, and they almost couldn't say goodbye, and it was very emotional for all of us. So those were the beginning and the end, the aha moments and everything in between.
So the aha moment for me was being at Mass with the folks from Santa Rosa Diocese at Sacred Familiar Parish, and realizing, wow, we have so much in common, and yet our lives and our socioeconomic conditions are so different. This is really an experience that I think can do wonderful things for all of us.
What's so important for anyone is that they understand that this is not our life as the world is. Here where we live, we're very fortunate. We have beautiful things. We have lots of resources, both money, people, and government. And in the case of going to these third world countries like Guatemala, you get to see that there is so much that we can bring to them in terms of the education, the insights, and additional hope. So it is so important for everyone to understand that this is not the only way that people live in the world.
This partnership is going to be a long-term thing, so there's going to be a lot for parishioners to do. There's going to be an ebb and flow to this, where different things are going to be happening at different times. We're really excited now that the steering committee is kind of coming together and breaking down into smaller subcommittees that are going to kind of focus on outreach to the parish and creating events here at the parish to get families and kids involved. We're going to have a group that's going to just be responsible for talking with Guatemala. So we're going to need a lot of Spanish speakers and people like that. We're going to have a group that's just going to be looking at how to infuse some of Guatemala into the faith life here at the parish. So, as well as education. Eventually what's going to happen, hopefully, is that we'll look at some of the issues that were really pressing down there, some of the challenges, and begin to look at ways that these are addressed in sustainable ways throughout the world. There's a lot of best practices out there, and so rather than reinvent the wheel, it's a great opportunity to get people involved in looking at what sorts of things are already happening. As well as, there's so many parishioners here that already have that knowledge base of whether it's education in the world or medicine or microfinance or whatever it may be, that we look forward to bringing out those skills and talents that are already in our community.
There's a wide range of challenges in Guatemala. Some are similar to what we have here, some are different. In some of the smaller communities, there's still the need for basic services like water and electricity. Unemployment is high in the country, and a lot of the fathers of families need to move away to find work, and sometimes they're separated from their family for months or even years. Healthcare is a concern. Education beyond the sixth grade is certainly not a given. After sixth grade, some children need to walk hours to school in the morning and then in the afternoon. There's also challenges in the faith community where one priest serves a wide geographic area. So there's a reliance on laymen and laywomen and the need to communicate with within the diocese to make that happen. So there's quite a few challenges.
We met with so many people saw us, and so I would bet that there are many people that think that that's why we were there, bringing the money to make something happen. The people that we really sat down and talked with, like Father David, like the Pastoral Council, understand that we are going at this completely differently. And so I don't think they're expecting anything to happen soon other than another trip coming down and really sitting with them another time and really starting to delve into the issues in their communities and to brainstorm together who are the people that who are the leaders in their communities to address those, and what sorts of things can we together make happen.
The similar part is easy. The sacraments are the same. We were fortunate to be part of a baptism and a First Communion and also several Masses. All of them were the same. Even the altar servers off to the side were fooling around a little bit, just like our kids. And the kids during the First Holy Communion had the same expression of excitement, and the parents had the same look of pride. And being part of all those sacraments was a great part of the trip.
As we traveled about the Santa Rosa Diocese, we would stop, and being on time wasn't necessarily something they were really good at, because we would always take time to stop and talk, hey, how you doing? And it just seemed like there was always time for each other. They weren't rushing off to their next appointment, to the soccer game, or to the supermarket. So in that regard, it was a lot. It was, again, there's some things about their life that are very challenging, but that aspect of it, I think is very very in line with our faith, and something that I'll remember forever, and actually try to change my life a bit to reflect some of what I experienced in Santa Rosa.
There was a delegation that was supposed to come here in the fall of 2010. Actually, we learned when we were down there, Father David was supposed to be on that trip, but due to all the storms that hit them over the summer, they needed to shift the money that they had allocated for that trip to disaster relief. So that trip wasn't able to happen. But we do hope that they do come soon, and that we have parishioners that will come forward and help us host them so that they feel as welcomed and loved as we did when we went there.
My most memorable, or maybe I would even want to call it my happiest memory, was the first night that we were in Chickamauga. We had been in Cuilapa and had just made a very long, dark drive over some difficult roads, and we arrived in Chickamauga, which was the hometown to the men and women that were hosting us. They almost all lived in Chickamauga and made this difficult drive every day up to their offices. So we arrived there. It was quite late. It was dark. We had had a long day, and they brought us to a pupuseria, which is sort of the equivalent to our local pizzeria. And they serve pupusas, which are these wonderful tortillas filled with cheese and vegetables and meat, and handmade right there over an open fire. And we sat there with about 8 of our friends, and really by then they felt like friends. And we were interspersed around a long table. And it was just their place. It was their home. It was their hometown. They were waving to people as they went by. And it was wonderful to be with them because we were, yes, their guests, but I felt very much a part of them, of their family.
Okay, so at every parish, we had to get up and introduce our names. And for some reason, at one of the parishes, somebody in their congregation asked us to sing a song. And they shouted, "Sing a song." So we all looked at each other for about a minute.
And we looked like the Three Stooges, looking at each other like, what song, what song? And all of a sudden it was the song of Open My Eyes, Lord. And from that point on, from the very first day, that was our song as we went to each of the small villages.
And it was fine. It was even really cool because it's a great song to do the hand motions to. So you're communicating in a different way. But, I didn't realize at the time the song was perfect because it was, the words were exactly what we were there for. And, open my eyes, help me to see. Open my ears, help me to hear. Open my heart, help me to love like you. And so this song we sang at the first parish, but then I think we went to another parish and we were done introducing ourselves, and I think Mike said, "Let's sing them our song." So it became like our anthem as we went from church to church, that we would sing these people this song.
Nosotros de verdad queremos agradecerles de corazón el que estén acá compartiendo su vida, su fe, y nosotros queremos también compartir con ustedes. Queremos compartirles desde ya nuestras oraciones. Vamos a orar mucho por ustedes también, para que el Señor les bendiga, para que bendiga sus hogares, bendiga sus trabajos. Queremos compartir con ustedes también nosotros nuestra misma organización. Aquí tenemos también gente muy organizada y gente muy sencilla, muy humilde, pero de un gran corazón. Por eso queremos compartir con ustedes lo que somos, también lo que nosotros tenemos. Creemos que esta es la base para una auténtica hermandad, para que fomentemos esos lazos también fraternos, como lo pide también el Señor Jesús. Qué hermoso es que ahora que estamos iniciando este nuevo año, o mejor dicho, estamos en ese nuevo proceso también de este año aquí en la diócesis de las Santas Misiones Populares, tengan ustedes también acá para fortalecer este proceso que estamos ahora comenzando. Queremos de verdad sentirnos hermanos en la fe, hermanos en el amor y también compartir la misma esperanza. de construir juntos un mundo mejor. Así que estamos siempre en comunicación con ustedes y le pedimos a Dios que siempre les colme de muchas bendiciones. Un gran abrazo pues desde acá, de nuestra diócesis, un abrazo para todos, que Dios bendiga pues siempre en lo que ustedes están haciendo, sus intenciones, sus ilusiones y también su deseo por también ayudar también a esta gente que es necesitada. Dios les bendiga pues a todos.
The relationship with our new friends in Guatemala is just beginning. It's the beginning of a long journey that will be challenging at times, but also very rewarding. Give it a chance. Open your eyes. Open your ears. Open your heart. Join the effort and walk with us one step at a time.
Open my eyes, Lord. Help me to see your face. Open my eyes, Lord. Help me to see. Open my ears, Lord. Help me to hear your voice. Open my ears, Lord. Help me to hear. Open my heart, Lord. Help me to love like you. Open my heart, Lord. Help me to love